recording. All right, and Jen, I am handing it over to you. Take it away.
Thanks, Kyle. I figured I'd start this out just with like a brief overview of what we're going to cover today, and maybe a little bit about myself. I cannot see who's on the call, so if I've never met you before, hi, I'm Jennifer Beaver. My role at SBP is the Director of Marketing. I've been here for a little over a year. I come from various backgrounds in the marketing and communications sector. Started my career in corporate finance, spent some time at an advertising agency heading up a digital team that was focused primarily on social and digital advertising. And now I'm in the nonprofit space and enjoying doing something with a human impact. So for today's webinar, we're going to cover a couple various topics. I spent a good amount of time doing some descriptive slides just to give you guys a background on what digital marketing is, how marketing differs, how marketing is different than communications, the components and benefits of leveraging digital marketing as an organization, and then how we as SBP are building our program. So let's dive in. First thing I really wanted to go through was how marketing and communications are different and where they converge. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about what these two functions are and how they sort of complement and work together. So marketing is a process of identifying, anticipating, and satisfying customer needs. The majority of this is done through research, identifying target markets or target audiences, and then developing products or services that meet their needs. And then, of course, the biggest piece to marketing is promoting it through advertising, sales, and other channels. The majority of marketing is done through paid advertising. But of course, that's all very strategic in understanding your target audience and what your general offering is. And then on the other hand, communications is a process of creating and sharing information and ideas and messages with different audiences. I would say the biggest difference between a marketing and a communications function is communications is based very much on what the content is, right? So a great example would be on social media. You want to make sure that your messaging is timely, is relevant to your target audience or the fan base that you've built on that platform, and that it's timely, right? That it's meeting a need. And we'll get more into what inbound marketing is and how it's a sort of prescribed digital practice. But that's really the biggest difference between these two. Public relations and communications tools, and really the language that's used falls starkly into the communications house, whereas marketing is more of the strategic piece, right? So it's understanding how can I reach my audience with the service or the good or the product that I want to advertise and drive conversion. And then I wanted to get into what is digital marketing? There's a ton of components, and I think because both marketing and communications are so varied, it's easy to kind of misunderstand what falls in what house and, what is digital and what is traditional. So digital marketing is really just the use of digital technologies to promote service, products, or a brand. It generally involves using various digital channels, what we like to call integrated campaigns, where you're leveraging the same type of messaging or content across a multitude of digital channels. There are lots of things that this type of activity can do. It can engage customers, it can build brand awareness, and ultimately can drive sales. And for our organization, sales equals donations, right? We're a nonprofit, so that's really where our bottom line lies. And there are several components of digital marketing. I'm going to go into depth on a few of these, but I wanted to list them all out just so that you can kind of see how varied this world is. And you can see in the diagram where they kind of overlap and converge. And I think that's a really important piece to understand, that you don't just build one part of digital marketing, they all work together in tandem. And if your targeting is right, and if your content is developed with great care and thought, and your strategy is well thought out, all of these, where they converge is where you can find those successes. So content marketing is a big piece of digital, and that falls generally in the communication space. So that's where you create the video, you write the social post, you decide what imagery you want to reflect your brand, what your brand voice is. And really great content marketing is done successfully when things are very consistent. So your brand colors are always the same. Your logo is always the same. You're utilizing the same key messaging across multitude of platforms. Then there's search engine marketing, or also known as SEO. And search engine marketing is really primarily based on keywords. And that's really just using Google to identify those keywords and to rank your pieces of content, so that when someone searches organically on Google or searches an adjacent topic, that your name is going to pop up, or your piece of content is going to pop up on that first page, right? And all marketers in every industry are always competing for those top listings, because that's just how people who maybe aren't aware of your brand, or don't know you by name, or don't know someone there, can find your content. And then, of course, social media marketing, which is a very big and various and widely changing world. But that includes organic social. So what you publish on your social channels, and what you use on the back end through Business Manager or LinkedIn Campaign Manager. And those are really the ad space. And those run in feed, they run in ad, they run in side articles. There's lots of different places those ads can be placed, but they do sort of run in the back end. And there's a lot of, algorithm trickery that can happen there to help get your content seen by who you're targeting. And paid advertising, the biggest benefit in social media is that you can really build who sees your message. When you're organically publishing, it's generally going to be distributed to your followers, so people who are following your page, or if someone engages with a piece of content and shares it, then it's exposed to their followers. But paid really gives you the opportunity to go in and say, I want to talk to people who are interested in nonprofits, people who love to volunteer in these specific geographies, right? And there's lots of ways you can build different audiences, and I won't go down that rabbit hole, but social media marketing is a big piece to our SBP strategy. It's a very cost-effective way to mass market. And then there's pay-per-click advertising, which is generally leveraged through Google Ads. And what that is a responsive search or display ad. And there you're using keywords to rank, right, for those clicks. And then you're using your content to drive home your messaging. So to drive the conversion, or to drive someone to a landing page, to a white paper, to a resource of some sort, wherever that content is that you want to leverage. And you're only paying by the click. That's why it's called pay-per-click advertising. And then there's email marketing, which I'm sure everyone's very familiar with. And that's, where companies will send you an email with an offer or a promotion or a reminder, pretty much that they exist and that there's a product there for you. I'm sure we all get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day. It's a very strong, fast moving marketing tool and tactic, and we'll get more into the detail of how email marketing can be leveraged really well for our organization. Affiliate marketing and influencer marketing, I generally slate into the same categories. And really what that is you're using a brand that is adjacent to yours. So for instance, if we partnered with another organization, that would be affiliate marketing. And especially if we're publishing the same content as the partner, then we're hitting both of our audiences, and it can sort of just amplify your message in a much larger way. Influencer marketing, as we all know, is where you're leveraging influencers, or as they like to now be called, creators, within, and this is generally done in the social space, but there's some YouTube creators as well. And it's where you're leveraging that influencer to speak about your brand for you, right? In their own words, and to develop their own content that, of course, if it's done well, resounds back to your original brand or your original goal with that marketing campaign. Then there's online public relations, and that's really just a lot of the digital news media that you see, and that's also helps with your SEO if you can get mentioned quite often in public relations articles, if your backlinks can be included there. So a link to your website or a link to a specific resource on your website. Online PR is becoming a very strong and emerging space in public relations, only because most people consume their media through digital mediums now. Newspapers are dying, print is dying. And so online PR is really just a great way to drive more awareness. And then I won't go too deep into the rest of these, but there's interactive advertising, which we know is like gamification. The metaverse is really testing a lot of this interactive space where people are working with brands and building their own storefronts, or building their own type of worlds within this brand space. And the brands really dictate what elements are included there and how people can kind of start conversations and interact based on what you're pushing out through those platforms. And then there's mobile marketing and video marketing. These are really just mobile first technologies. You'll see a lot of like push to text. That's considered a really great tactic for mobile marketing. And then, of course, video marketing, which is really just a widely emerging field across social. Of course, YouTube is the king of video marketing. It's probably the second most visited website around the world on a daily basis. But there are lots of other platforms that people use that are similar to YouTube. Then there's conversion rate optimization. And this is just where you're building a conversion-oriented campaign. And sometimes that can direct users to a landing page. There's generally a form that they're going to fill out where they provide you with some of their first-party data or first name, last name, email address, so that you have the opportunity to talk to them again or to engage with them in smart ways. And then there's web analytics and display advertising. And web analytics is just generally the tools that you use to measure the effectiveness and to optimize your marketing campaigns. And then display advertising, of course, Google is also the king there. And display is where, say, if you search for something, if you see an ad that pops up in that right-hand column that has an image and a message, and there's generally a button, that's probably primarily display. You'll see that used on a lot of news websites where there's an entire right-hand column of space of advertisers. Then moving into the key components of digital marketing. So social media marketing is promoting your products and services through social platforms. Of course, this also includes creating content, sharing content, engaging with your followers, and running ads. And then email marketing, this is what you use to communicate with your customers or potential customers. It can include newsletters, promotional emails. We all get codes, promo codes, use code X to save 20%. That's a great way that email marketers use you to click through and purchase their products. It's a really great way to build relationships with customers, keep them informed of your latest and greatest news, happenings, products, services, or promotions. And then search engine optimization. This involves optimizing your website content as well as any other platform content. And this is really just targeting those keywords, making sure that they're included in your language, that there's a link or a place online for those digital people to journey to, And then it's really the main goal of SEO is to improve your website traffic and to increase conversions. And conversions ultimately just mean us putting more either clients, volunteers, donors in our pipeline, right? So that we have the opportunity to build a relationship there. And then content marketing is where you create, share valuable content. Again, it should be relevant, timely, and effective. White papers are a great way that organizations use this. You'll see, download our free how-to kit. But in order to download the free how-to kit, you have to offer up some information. Generally, that's an email address. And what those marketers are doing is taking your first-party data with your consent and saying, great, let's put them in a pipeline and figure out where their interests lie so that we can target them with products and services that will benefit this individual. And then I wanted to kind of go through the differences between traditional marketing and digital marketing. And traditional marketing, I think, sometimes gets grouped, these two get grouped together very often because they're all a function of marketing, but they work very differently. And they're also, their impact on an organization is very different. So traditional marketing is really just the use of traditional channels, and that's TV, radio, newspaper, billboards, any kind of print services, including direct mail. So coupons you receive in your mailbox, that's considered traditional marketing. And this type of marketing relies on mass reach, right? So it's about talking to as many people as possible. Sort of the con there is that it's a one-way communication approach. So once you've printed the piece and you've mailed it, then at that stage, it's on the user's hands to take an action. And it's very different from digital marketing because this involves using digital technologies, and you can optimize and engage. It's a two-way communication between the user and the brand themselves. So it's a great way to also hone in on a specific audience. So say if you have a very niche product, and there are only a very small part of the population, and you want to do a cost-effective way to reach these individuals, then digital marketing is truly the best way to go about that. And then just some benefits of traditional versus digital marketing. Reach is a big one. Traditional marketing can reach a lot of audiences, while digital is generally smaller in its reach, but is also much more targeted, right? Because if a marketer has done their homework, then they know who their audience is, what geography they lie in, and what products are available to them. It just gives you a bit more of an advantage to ensure that you're not talking to people who don't care about your relevant subject or product or promotion or your brand at all. Costs. Traditional marketing is very expensive. Running mass media ads through television or newspaper is a very big cost, right? Because you have to produce the content, pay for the placement of the content, and then you're not even sure if it's going to reach the right individuals, even if you've done your research there. Digital is far cheaper. You can set up ways to optimize your digital ads so that you're only paying for individuals who are clicking, who are engaging. And then, of course, you can also hone in on those targets in very unique ways, like interest targeting. So if I only wanted to talk to people in the US who are interested in nonprofit giving, then that's an interest target I could set up so that I'm not talking to individuals who don't generally give to nonprofits, right? That don't make donations on an annual basis. They're not part of my target. So I can eliminate them and eliminate the cost of reaching those individuals. And then communication, traditional market, again, is that one-way communication. Once the message is out, it's out, and you can't change it. You can't alter it. You can't optimize it. It's just sort of there. It lives once it's sent. The beauty of digital marketing and why I have spent the latter part of my career in this space is that If something isn't working, digital allows you to go in and change it. You can change your copy, you can change your image, you can test a multitude of different types of creatives in one space against the same audience and see which one resonates more, right? Like I always say social media is the most beautiful focus group created because people are consistently scrolling and they're consistently providing feedback on your brand and on your company, which just gives you a way, it gives you an edge to optimize so that you can be more relevant to those individuals. And then of course, measurement is the biggest benefit. You can say you sent out 3,000 newsletter ads, but if you didn't receive anything back from that, there's no way to track the effectiveness. And the beauty of digital is you can look at a various amount of metrics, which we do quarterly reporting for the organization, and look at all kinds of different analytics, like website traffic and click-through and conversions. And then of course, our engagement rates. And one more slide about why digital marketing is important. And I won't go through these. Y'all can review these once the deck is sent to you. But just some key research that I've done. HubSpot is really kind of the king and company analytic on what we're going to get into in the latter part of this, which is about inbound marketing. And that philosophy there is really just about targeting individuals who need your product or service versus doing mass marketing. Of course, you see higher conversion rates, better targeting, mobile optimization. This is a big one. More and more as we move into a mobile world, everybody has a computer in their pocket. And it's a great way to reach people right at their fingertips. I would say people spend lots of hours on their phones every day, every week, every month. And so it's just an easy way to reach those individuals right where they're at. And then of course, social media advertising, it's popular because it's cost effective. You generally get higher engagement rates. Of course, there's lots of strategy behind that. So this next part, I want to get into what I call inbound marketing. And inbound marketing is where they've taken sort of that traditional three-piece funnel of what marketers have been using probably for the past 100 years, and have broken it into a four-piece funnel. And there are really important key sort of journey points along the way for digital marketers to use to really convert clients into being brand advocates. And I'm going to get into how SBP is leveraging each of these channels. Of course, this is top of funnel, so this is a much larger audience. This is more of a mass media. And then as you get into the bottom of the funnel, we're looking at people who are already clients, who are already volunteers, who are already AmeriCorps members, and really just continuing to engage with them on a brand level to develop them into advocates. That's the ultimate goal of our marketers. Sorry, hold on one second. That delight phase is where individuals can start using word of mouth advertising to promote your brand and your product. And that's the ultimate goal of any marketer. So looking at sort of the top of the funnel for SBP, we use a variety of ways to reach larger audiences. I'm going to go into a few of our past tactics. So of course, you'll see our website, which we are undergoing a website migration to a WordPress system, which hopefully will optimize our site for further conversions. Of course, it will also update the look and the feel and the navigability of our site. So this is a very exciting thing. The new site will roll out sometime late this summer, which is very exciting for me because we'll have a whole new tool set and a whole new way to reach individuals. And then of course there's blogs. Most consumers say that marketers who blog on their website generally have more effective conversion rates, just because it's an opportunity for you to tell your story in a way that's very customized to your brand. We don't do a ton of blogging. We do some, but I'd like to see, once we move our site, us to enhance sort of that blog and press piece to our website, so that we can drive more traffic to those pages and tell, more individualized stories, whether it's programmatic or it's a success story or it's a partnership story. It's just a really great way to do some additional storytelling. And then you'll see this graph at the top. This is pulled from Sprout Social, which is the social software that we use as a team to publish, monitor, and engage with our social content. And you'll see I pulled from April 1st of 2022 to April 1st of 2023. And this is how much our audience has grown in the past year across all of our platforms. You'll see that 94%. That's a beautiful numbers for marketers. That means we've almost doubled our audience in the past year. And truly, this is an effort that I cannot claim individually. This was done as a team and as an organization collaboratively. I would love to continue on this trajectory and continue to grow our audiences, because it's just more eyeballs on the content that we publish, and it raises more awareness to the work that we do within the markets that we serve. And you'll see underneath that graph, this is just a quick screenshot of one of our most shown ads in the past year. And this was based on Hurricane Ian response. And this was the first time I utilized driving not only recovery resources and information to our website, but also driving donations. And those were the highest amount of clicks that I received. I used hundreds of keywords to target these individuals. The ones that you see below are sort of just some of that bank of keywords. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see some of our most engaged ads. So these were leveraged through Meta, which owns both Facebook and Instagram. And I want to say this was our Storm Anniversary campaign that Doug and myself launched last year with a little bit of support from Meta. They gave us a $10,000 credit to really enhance this campaign, and it was super effective. We ran it in 3 operational sites, including Southwest Louisiana, Houston, and Puerto Rico. Content was created by Doug. He leveraged these really wonderful and impactful videos that were highly engaged and drew a ton of traffic to our sites in the 3rd and 4th quarter of last year. Then getting into the next stage of the funnel, this is where conversions are driven. And we've done some work here, but we'll have a lot more work to do once we have a new website tool to work with. So you'll notice the Get Help page is really a key piece of conversion, especially within the client space for us. So Doug and I wanted to create a landing page and a resource form where individuals can go to directly following a disaster, or 3 to 6 months after a disaster. Lots of teamwork was involved in building this page. Lots of review and effort was put into this, and it drives directly into Salesforce so that these clients or prospective clients can be reviewed for our various teams, our various operational teams, and hopefully placed into our client pipeline. This is really a key step in digital innovation, whereas before we were receiving clients through referral services or word of mouth, right, which is very limited in its network. And this gives us the ability, especially following a disaster, to immediately reach out to people and those who are in need. We can obviously target specific geographies and target certain consensus tracks. So we always want to reach low to moderate income households, so those who need our support the most. And this is really just a great conversion place for people to do that. And then you'll see sort of in the middle of this space, I pulled some of our pages that we've spent a good amount of time working on in the past year. The first one is the AmeriCorps landing page. Of course, there are video content here because we know that individuals do not read copy. People want to watch and learn and then make decisions from there. We're hoping with a new website, we can drive a more optimized digital journey for users. But as of now, we've seen a ton of conversions based on our advertising for AmeriCorps recruitment being driven directly to this page. And I want to say last year we activated that campaign in the May or April time period and ran it through the end of August. And during that campaign time period, this landing page was ranked second to our homepage, which to me means success. It means people are clicking, people are learning, and hopefully we can create better conversion events so that we can get more applicants into the AmeriCorps pipeline. And then next to that page, you'll see our volunteer page. This was another large initiative. Of course, we've enhanced it with video imagery and broken down the different ways that individuals can volunteer. But this just gives people a snapshot of what we're looking for or what they can expect to volunteer with SBP. Of course, we would love to optimize this page with enhanced keywords and of course, drive more conversions through that volunteer pipeline. And then you'll see a number of graphs. The piece is our website traffic. So I set up a number of conversions that began in April of this year. And that conversion tracking is generally placed around donors. So in conjunction with our Classy system, which is what our development team uses to fundraise and to house all of our various funds and track against their individual goals. And sort of the bar graph next to it, you'll see it says direct organic search, organic social, paid search, and referral. And these are referring to how we acquired these users on our website. So how did someone find out about us and from what place in the web did they click through? I'm very excited to see that organic social is up there and is almost in comparison to our organic search. So that's individuals, that means our keywords are working and that our social conversion tracking, so including links to a page to our website, people are clicking, they want to learn more. So that expresses interest and curiosity. And then of course our paid search, which could be optimized much better, but is still effective and wasn't even on the bar graph a year ago. So I consider that a huge success to run 10,000 individuals from a paid search to our website. You'll see that little chart at the top. I'm sorry, it's so small. I tried to fit a lot into one slide, but this is conversion tracking. And I set up this conversion as a purchase. And purchase generally just means a donation for us. And this is tracking off of the SBP perimeter campaign. So this was the first time I really started conversion tracking through our Google Grant account to see out of how many people clicked through, who actually sent a donation through, right? Who actually completed to the checkout phase. And surprisingly, we have really great results there. I'm still kind of tracking down the semantics of this dollar amount, but this just goes to show that the more we optimize our website and our advertising tactics that accompany it, the more we can drive to the business bottom line. And then the next phase of the funnel is the close. I would say this is still very much in function and needs high adoption from the organization as a whole. But Salesforce has a product called Pardot, and Pardot is an engagement tool that marketers can use to do a various amount of things in digital marketing. The Share team has volunteered as tribute and been our first sort of test into the Pardot space. We created a quarterly newsletter with partnership of Angela and team. And this newsletter really just is all the relevant topics of the Share program. It went out to all of the Share providers who were added to a segmentation list inside of Pardot. And we noticed that we had a lot of social click-throughs and a lot of click-throughs to the landing page where the grant opportunities are listed. So again, this is a great use of digital marketing where we know we're talking to a Share partner audience. we're providing them with the content and information that's relevant, timely, and important to them. And then at the end of the day, we want to drive those conversions, right? So we want more people signing up for training. We want more people applying for the grant opportunities and clicking through. And then the last piece to the inbound marketing funnel is the delight phase. And we've done some of this activity, but we have a lot of strategy that's wrapped around sort of getting to this bottom of the funnel. And the two biggest pieces of that are email communication, brand pillars, which are content buckets that we use to in our digital marketing of how we talk about our organization and what topics we think are the most relevant that align with our brand. And then, of course, at the top, you'll see our annual campaign mapping. So we try to do one campaign each quarter. Hopefully, we've gotten through the meeting of home and SBP perimeter ride, and we're in the planning and almost final stages of launching a preparedness campaign, which will run through the summer and up into storm season. We plan to run another storm anniversary campaign, this one perhaps a little smaller than last year, but we learned through the past campaign that our audiences at large are very interested in the long-term recovery work that our organization does. And that long-term recovery work is really a market differentiator from all of our competitors in the disaster space. You know, we don't just provide immediate relief. We ingrain ourselves in these communities and we're in it for the long term, whether that be 5, 6, 7 years outside of the storm. And then the last campaign we have scheduled is what I'm calling systems change. And this is really going to require a lot of participation from the organization, but this is telling stories through the lens of how we leveraged all of our tools, resources, and of course, our staff skills to create long-term social change. And Doug has spent a ton of time in working in social categories with our development team. So what sort of out of those pieces are really important that individuals who generally would donate or work with an organization or partner with an organization like ours, what topics are relevant to them and how can we show that the work that we do is changing the face of disaster recovery. So more to come on those campaigns. You'll see I listed some of the email communications that development and marketing have pushed out this year. Some of these are gratitude posts. That's a great space in the delight. So sending a message to all of your donors, all of your volunteers, all of your partners to thank them for the work that they've done in conjunction with you, but to also talk about the success that you've gained through that partnership. And then, of course, the next email is from Zach that he sent at the beginning of this year, really just talking about what our mission is as we go into 2023 and sort of highlighting some of the programs that we think are exciting and that are really moving the needle on that systems change piece. Then, of course, development sent out a really wonderful email that highlighted all of the work that we did in 2022 to our past donors and volunteers. And then with the SBP perimeter ride, we engaged potential donors with a messaging and, of course, provided resource for them to participate in the campaign, whether that be through sharing and engaging with our content on our social platforms or driving individuals to the donation page. And then the last piece before we get to the wrap up is really these brand pillars. And I won't spend too much time here, but I think it's important for people in the organization to understand that, these are our key communication tools. These are topics and they're supposed to be big. They're supposed to be very general. And they're just things that we can weave in all of our communications. So of course, we always want to talk about the people that make up our organization, whether that be partners, AmeriCorps members, volunteers, donors, staff. So everyone that makes up who SBP is. We also want to talk about building coalitions, and this is big work that I've been doing with the recovery operations sites, is talking about those partners, tagging them on social, and telling those sort of small stories that happen sometimes in kind of a microcosm, but pushing that out to a more public space so that people really see what type of organization we are, the individuals that make up it, and who we partner with, right? Because that only builds more partnership in the future. And then innovation and action. This is what we're doing, how our work is impacting disaster survivors. I would say a lot of our DAP team and our advise team, a lot of that innovation and action happens in that space, right? Where we're changing the way people go about applying for disaster assistance or aiding individuals with appealing their FEMA award and getting more so that they can actually rebuild their homes to safe and sanitary operation. And then preparedness and recovery, of course, those are key themes for a disaster recovery organization. We want to prepare people in advance of the storm, and then we also want to help them when it does impact their lives. And then the last piece is sustainability, and this content bucket is more about how we're rebuilding homes. So fortified roofs, PVC cabinets, denim insulation. So how are we building homes, to be more resilient for future storms, but also to be easy on our ecosystem? So like, how are we building with low waste and using reusable or renewable materials? That takes us to the end. I wanted to give people the opportunity to ask questions if there are any questions. And then there's also 3 resources on this page. So Moz is a really great resource for SEO tool, keyword functions, and really getting the latest and greatest in what's happening in the SEO space. HubSpot, as I mentioned before, is kind of the founder of inbound marketing, and there are a multitude of free digital resources. There are free courses that you can take to become HubSpot certified. And there's lots of specializations there. At one point, I held an email and a social media and a inbound marketing HubSpot certification. I need to renew them because they expire after a year, but I can't tell you what a great resource that is, just if you're curious or want to learn more. And then, of course, Hootsuite is a social software that publishes really just great articles and talks about trends and changing algorithms on social media platforms and how, as marketers, you can be responsive in those spaces. So, any questions? A silent audience. All right, well, with that, thank you for your time today. If you do have any follow-up questions, feel free to email me or message me. I'm happy to help you at any point in time along your digital learning path.